Hey all, welcome to the video session of mahindraguru.com, wherein today we are going to discuss an important and a special topic for clerk, for PO and especially for the SOIT examination, and that is structured query language, in short known as SQL. This is one of the important topic if we consider the examination point. Now, what would be the first question from you all? The very first question from you all would be that what is SQL all about? In this video session, we will learn the basics of SQL. So let us begin with the video session and see what we are going to learn in this session. So the very first thing that we have in this session is what is SQL? The definition of SQL, structured query language, in short SQL. Structured query language or SQL is a query programming language. This is a point that should be noted by you all, that this is a query programming language that is specially designed rather to manage data in RDBMS. Now, the second point here that we get is that SQL is designed to manage data and databases in RDBMS. Now, what is RDBMS? RDBMS stands for Relational Database Management System, RDBMS. Now, something about the history of SQL. We have something about the history of SQL, and let's check what is there about the history of SQL. SQL was developed by Donald D. Chamberlain, and one more person was there associated with the development of SQL, and his name was Raymond F. Boyce in early 1970s. Two names. We have two associated names, and the two names are, the very first is Donald D. Chamberlain and the second one is Raymond F. Boyce. Now, these two names are also important one. In early 1970s, when they were at IBM. Now, moving on to the next slide, let's see what we have in the next slide of this session. The next slide says that SQL is subdivided into many sub-languages. Now, what are those languages? We have three basic languages of SQL, and what are those three basic languages? Let's study those three basic languages. And the three basic languages that we have are, the first one that we have is the DCL, the DML and DDL. Though they are not in a hierarchical manner, let's group them in a hierarchical manner. The very first language and the basic one, the primary one that we have is the DDL, Data Definition Language, followed by the DML one, and then after we have the DCL one. The DML one is the middle language, is the language that is worked upon after the DDL one. Hence, it is grouped in the second or the middle level of SQL languages. The DDL, the DCL, and the middle one, the DML, Data Definition Language, Data Manipulation Language, and Data Control Language. Moving on to the next slide, let's see what we have on the next slide. The next slide says something about the DDL. Now, what is DDL? The full form of DDL is the Data Definition Language, and DDL language is used to define the structure, is used to define the schema of a database or schema of a table or a relation rather. Now, what are the commands that are associated with the DDL languages? The commands that are associated with DDL language are, we have the create one, we have the drop, we have the alter, and we have the rename command. Create, drop, alter, and rename. These are the commands that are associated with the DDL set of language. Now, after DDL, we have the data manipulation language, that is known as DML, in short known as DML. Data manipulation language is considered or is associated with insertion or deletion or updation of data that is present in a relation or a table. Now, let's see what all commands are associated with the DML set of language. The DML language of SQL is associated with commands such as insert, delete, update. The insert command is used to insert the data in a database or in a table rather. Delete command is used to delete the data in a database or a table rather, or a relation rather. Update command is used to update data in a database or in a table, or we can say in a relation. Insert, delete and update. These three commands are directly associated with the DML. Now, after DML we have the DCL, the Data Control Language. This language is an important language of SQL. Now, this language monitors and controls what? It controls and monitors the data and the database actually. Now, what are the commands that are associated with DCL? The commands that are associated with DCL are the most important one are grant and revoke. Grant is used to provide permission to a user and revoke is used to remove or deny a permission to the user. Now, let's check the definition of DCL. The definition of DCL says data control language is used to control the access of the data present in a database. A user can be granted or he can be revoked of accessing a data that is there in a database. A user can be permitted or he can be denied of accessing data, and the two commands that were associated or that are associated with the DCL are grant and revoke. Grant is used to give the permission and revoke is used to deny the permission. Now, the next slide says DQL, data query language, which is most often known as the subpart of DML, data manipulation language. The data query language is used to fetch the data from existing relation or a table. Now, the command that is used in DQL is the select command. The select command is one of the most important command of the SQL language. Select command is used to fetch the data from a database, from a relation or from a table rather. Now, if we talk about the select command, this plays an important role in RDBMS WISO, because if there is no select command, if we talk about SQL and the select command goes missing, then we would not be able to fetch the data from a database. The next slide says transaction. Now, what is a transaction? Transaction is considered as the give and take relation. In computers, a transaction is actually defined as a group of tasks that are integrated to perform a single transaction. Here we have an example. The example says if Thomas is transferring a sum of rupees 7,000 is transferred from Thomas account to the Patrick's account, the process of successfully transferring this amount from one account to the another one will be considered as a single transaction. Transaction is a very important concept in the context of DBMS. So we have to learn the transaction, we have to learn the properties of transaction, we have to learn the commands that are associated with TCL or the transaction control language. Let's check what is the asset property of transaction. The asset property of transaction ensures the efficiency and effectiveness and security of a transaction. Effectiveness, efficiency and secure transaction is done by the asset property of a transaction. The asset property hereby says A for atomicity, C for consistency, I for isolation and D for durability. I am repeating it again. Atomicity, consistency, isolation and durability. The next slide says TCL, transaction control language, that is again a sub language of SQL. Now, what is TCL? Transaction control language, or in short known as TCL, is a sub language of SQL that is used to control and it is used to control and monitor the transactional activities in our database. The transactional activities that are occurring in a database are controlled and monitored by the TCL, the transaction control language. Now, let's check what all commands are associated with the TCL. The commands that are associated with the TCL are, we have the commit, we have the rollback, we have the save point. These two commands, commit and rollback, are the important commands of TCL. When a transaction is committed and is going to be written finally, in that case commit is used, and in case we have to roll back or revert the transaction to its previous known state, roll back command is used. So we have two main commands in the TCL. The first one that we have is the commit one, and the second one that we have is the roll back one. So that was all for the discussion over the SQL topic. Hope you like this video, and please do comment us on www.mahindraguru.com, and please do subscribe your YouTube channel, and that is www.youtube.com/C/Mahindra Guru videos. Your success is our success. Thank you.